The last of the geometric shape tools we'll look at right now are the star and the flare tools. And the star tool's right here. You click and drag to draw a star. If you hold the Shift key down, you can make it nice and proportioned. The default for a star is 5 points. Now the Alt key, in most cases, draws shapes out from the center. A little bit different with the star tool. If we begin drawing again we can hold the Shift key down, but watch what happens when I hold the Alt key. What it does is it equalizes the angles on the point to the interior. So you let go of the Alt key, you're back to this. You turn it back on again, you get this. That's the difference. The Alt key doesn't draw out from center. It equalizes points from exterior to interior point. If we click our mouse, we can choose a different radius. Now, radius 1 is the outside and radius 2 is the inside. So if you wanted a star with a longer point, you might leave this number alone and make this number bigger. And of course, you've got the points down here. If we want to add more points while we're live, press the up and down arrow keys. That's all you have to do. Take it all the way back down to a triangle. But here's another trick. If we want to make a star that has longer points on it, we can go back and change that radius 1 number, or reach over on your keyboard and hold down while it's live, hold down the Control key, and it will lock in the interior and allow you to drag out on radius 1 to create a star with larger points. So those are some of the tricks we can use. Let's do one more thing here. I'm going to pick up my ellipse tool, and I'll draw a very small, little tiny circle, about like that. Then I'm going to pick up my Move tool, and I'm going to move that thing, and I'm going to move it right onto that point right there. Now again, it should lock right to that point. Hold down the Alt key to make a copy, and begin moving them around. What are we making? Well, I'll tell you what I'm making. I'm making a sheriff star because there's a new sheriff in town. And there you go. Sheriff Andy's in town drawing stars. Before I get too carried away with myself, let's examine the last tool, in which I give it the definition of, I don't know why we got it, but it's fun to play with tool. It's called the flare tool. If we click on the flare tool and just come over here and click, you will draw a flare with a center, rays, rings, and halo. Now this is the default flare. If you click OK, you can see what it's doing. If you want to make your own, what you can do is come over here first and drag. Click and drag. Now come over to another position and click, and then drag where you want the flare to be. Now I will admit that it does create very realistic lens flares, but I find a certain irony here. I grew up my whole life taking photographs, and I've spent my whole life stamping out lens flares. As soon as I got Adobe Illustrator, and Photoshop for that matter, I began putting lens flares on all the images that I had worked so hard to take it off of. I'm not saying you're not going to use this tool. What I'm saying is I don't have a lot of reasons to use it except exactly what its purpose is, to make a lens flare and place it on an image. I do like this one better than the one in Adobe Photoshop. So if I am doing lens flares, I will actually make them here in Illustrator and import them into Photoshop. This concludes our study of the geometric drawing shapes in Adobe Illustrator.